Dad, can you tell me what you know about our family history?
Our family, yeah, we were lucky, I have to say. My two grandparents were born in Turkey, in Izmir, but originally they were from Spain. Jewish family from Spain. At the time of the Inquisition, like 500 years ago, they had to escape to Turkey. My grandparents, or maybe even their parents, and they most likely met in Turkey, but what we know is that they both, four of them, traveled to Buenos Aires. My grandfather, Jose Jalles, and Luna Lerea, and on the other end were wonderful Moises Odara and Elisa Odara, which were my mother's parents. My mother's parents were really nice. Elisa and Moises were very close, was nice, sweet family. My father's parents were nice, but not too warm. Okay, Luna and Jose, okay. So my parents met in Buenos Aires, they got married. I hope we can show a picture of two of my young, handsome father and beautiful mama when they got married, and they had my brother Guillermo, William, 4 years older, so 4 years later. I was born in Buenos Aires on October 28th of 1949, as I said before. And we grew up in a nice neighborhood in Belgrano, which is a cool neighborhood. And I told the story how we lived in a nice apartment building in front of the golf course and did horseback riding, English riding and this and that. So all of that was good. My parents were very good. My father took us, when I was 14, he took us to Europe for a tour around many countries of Europe. You know, the four of us, mother, father, brother, and I. My father was a civil engineer, and he designed cooling systems for big companies like Costco's and Safeway, you know, big cooling system for big buildings. So he was a very clever engineer. He was well-to-do, and he had a car, and my mother had a car. They let me drive. I was 14 years old, and it's illegal under 18, but they trusted me, and they let me drive the little Fiat when I was 14 or 15 years old. I would take my girls out at night. It was incredible. We would go to the discos, dancing, and there was these hotels by the hour. So you go there in the car and you wait in line for an hour or two until someone moves on and they clean the room, and you go in there and you have, I don't know, 1 hour or two until they ring the bell again. So we went to those hotels by the hour with my girlfriends. That's how it was. But anyway, around that time also I think I met Silvia Solchaga, who was my girlfriend for 3 years, 3 months and 9 days. She kept count. We had a happy life together and had a great relationship with her family. Her father took us to Valparaiso and Chile, traveling. It was a nice experience.
I was going to ask, what did you learn from your parents?
I guess from my father I learned, he was an engineer, as am I, and, to be methodical, precise, creative, resolving issues, whether it's packing the car or doing whatever. He was an engineer and he was always very efficient at doing stuff. My mother used to be a school teacher and then a housewife, and she was a nice mother. I have not much to add about her. I love my mother. I look forward to see her in the afterlife. But I had good parents, and then they separated, And then my father ended up following me to Hawaii. And while I was stranded in Hawaii, remember the story, I hurt my legs. So I was going with my cane to the Maui Community Center. I put down my cane and I would teach yoga to the people, and it was a happy thing. And my father would attend my yoga classes. So that's special, you know. He kind of had done yoga before, and he would come to my yoga classes, and it felt good, you know. In the same way that when I was married to Shar and I was teaching yoga at the Pacific Grove Yoga Center, Shar would come to my yoga lessons. And when I was teaching yoga in Santa Barbara at the Santa Barbara Fitness Center, my girlfriend at that time, Julia, would come to my yoga classes also. As my friend Leonard would come to my yoga lessons when I teach them at the Mission Ridge Mansion. So it was always nice to have people open to benefit of good information. I grew up Jewish, I took bar mitzvah, I couldn't stand the idea of a God punishing you for your forefathers' sins. I became a fervent atheist from when I had a brain around 14 until about my 30s, when I came to this country as a spiritual seeker, and I went to Krishnamurti and Swami Sachidananda and Mantak Chia. But I also was invited to a study group of the Urantia book, Urantia book they call it here. Pass it to me, it's right there. So, in the Urantia book, I learned that Jesus was a good person and that he was for real, and Jesus came to this planet. So I learned to know about Jesus. I learned to be able to commune with Jesus because he's still out there as a powerful spiritual being. He created this part of the universe. So I not only learned about Jesus and learned to believe in Jesus, I learned about believing in God, because here it explains everything about who is God. It's not more a mystery, you know, that you have to believe or go to hell. It explains it all in a way that even a scientist or an engineer can realize, oh, there is a God, and that's why the world is organized the way it is. So it's a 2,000-page book. It's not for the intellectually lazy, but it's worthwhile for any and every human being to learn the information in here. We have translated it into 27 languages and publish it and spreading it all over the world. And in a few dozen generations, this good, important information will end up helping humanity grow and learn that having peaceful, loving relationships, as we're all brothers and sisters in a world with different color skins, but we're all sons of God. God is a heavenly Father and a heavenly Mother that loves you and wants you to be happy. They don't want you to send nuclear bombs or arrows, whatever the case may be. But that's how the world has changed. When I grew up, it was military dictatorships one after the other, and there was war with maybe Vietnam and this and that. And here we are, 50 years later, bigger atomic bombs and bigger son of a bitch Putin, and we don't want to talk about Ukraine, you already know it. So it makes me very, very sad for you guys that are going to stay and witness what's going to happen in the planet, because it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I will pray for your safety and your happiness, that you may be able to build your own happy bubble in Santa Cruz or wherever it may be, that you can isolate yourself as much as possible from the economic upheavals that are starting already last week and worse things that could happen. So I pray that you all stay happy, but never mind, because we're here to grow, and there's no growth without suffering. We're meant to suffer in order to grow. That's what God has for us. If you have a happy life with no conflict, you don't really grow that much. So conflict and suffering is what promotes growth, maturity, growth of the spirit. And that is how I learned that 3 days after I go to sleep peacefully in just a few days. I will wake up in the first mansion world, which is a huge planet. It's not a heaven, it's a real planet with real people, where I will find myself with a new body, with my same personality, my spirit, my soul, all coming together in a new happy life. It's funny, they give you a thing, they call it the harp of God. And it would be like one of these, but it reaches to the other side of the universe. You can look for your grandparents who may be planets away, but they have all the information, they have sophisticated communication systems. They call it the harp of God. So you type the name of your parents, whatever, and they find them for you. It's so wonderful, something to look forward to. And I have so many friends that have already confessed that they envy me, because I'm ready to go now there sooner, faster than them, while they will have to stay here toiling in this world with all the conflicts that are coming and going. But just build your happy life, build your happy bubble. If any negativity or any negative people trying to impinge in your life, you just clean them out of your life. You don't want any negativity, negative people in your life. You relate and connect, associate with good, positive people, hopefully God-loving people, and you will have a happy life. Do service, help others that may be in need, share your abundance, and have a happy life.
So about the Urantia book, for the people who are going to be here for a while, what does it say about how to live a happy life?
I already said it's pretty much, do service. It's about doing service for others and having faith in God and doing service, helping others, and being an honest, straightforward person. They say that, truth, beauty, and goodness are the main attributes of God. Truth, beauty, and goodness. But our truth, they say that, even the twisting of the hair's shade, if that's not true, that is wrong. That is very wrong if you twist the truth even a little. Truth has to be 100% true. And then beauty is one of the attributes of God. And that's why I'm so vain. I like to look good. I like beautiful women. So that's why I'm looking like this today, because this is an act, Normally I don't look as good. So truth, beauty, and goodness. Be a good person. Do good to others. And God will bring you abundance and happiness and bring it back to you. That's how it is.
No, it's so hard to see that, like it's so profound to be talking to you and knowing that you're making a conscious decision to leave. And I'm curious what that experience is like, and we can include this or not, but I'm just...
Well, you had a question there. What is the hardest decision that you had to make in your life? Picking a date for my ascension was the hardest decision. So that's why we're taking it ahead of time. We're taking it slowly, We process the sorrow, and we remember that sorrow is human. Jesus was the creator of this universe, but he was human, and Jesus experienced sorrow like a human. He had sorrows, and I can have sorrows, and you can have tears, but we have to remember that we're here to grow and learn, and that we have a happy life all around us, and we have happy, positive, wonderful things to do after we finish this work, and the next happy thing to do tomorrow. Look to the future, to the happy things coming in the future. Don't look at the regrets and the sorrows of the past. Remember the happy things of the past and look to the future, and you'll be happy. There was one thing I always taught my boys, they fought a lot when they were younger. And I always said this, I invented this, okay? Just don't fight, don't cry. Do whatever you like, don't fight. Do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't hurt you or doesn't hurt anybody else. So go jump around, screw around, whatever. Just don't hurt your brother and don't hurt yourself while doing it. And they got it, they went out on their own or they played together. They knew that they didn't have to hurt the brother or hurt themselves, and it worked. But I have another pearl of wisdom for relationships, okay? I call it the 3 C's. The letter C, okay? It will work for anyone that is bold enough to practice it. Commitment, communication, and compromise. If you want a relationship, you have a relationship, you want it to last, you make a commitment. Stick with it. Then you communicate, because there's always trouble, and compromise. And your relationship can be happy forever if you keep your commitment to keep it going and you communicate and you compromise. It works. I was lucky and blessed to have more friends that you can count with one hand. Not many people can say this. I have friends in Argentina that I still talk to almost every day, and my former wife Vivian, and many good friends in America. So I was blessed to have many friends, not neighbors. You're friends with your neighbor, and then when you move, you don't see them again. I have friends like my friend Carlos in Argentina. We would talk. 2 years later, we're still friends. And Nestor, we're always friends. And Leonard, it's a solid friendship that lasts for a lifetime. So I'm grateful to all my friends, men and women. Flo being one of my women friends. Not all women friends have to be sexually involved. So I'm grateful to have had so many good friends where we could cultivate our friendships, support each other, and as I try to teach my friends and children, friendships, you have to cultivate them. They don't just happen because you're neighbors. To cultivate a friendship, you do things for each other. You even ask favors for each other. If you want, ask something from someone, and that person may be happy to give you a service, and that will give them satisfaction and will give you a reason to be grateful and give something back to them. So that's how you cultivate friendships, by doing things for each other, asking for favors, offering favors, and spending time together and growing together and doing fun things together. Very good lesson.
So you're not afraid of dying?
God, no, I look forward to it. I'm sorry to leave the skiing and the tango behind. God, I enjoy tango so much. At the time, we used to dance tango 7 times a week. I said 7 times a week, okay? Sometimes tango lesson Saturday morning in San Francisco, brrr, in the evening, tango party in Monterrey, tango milonga, 7 times a week, learning, taking lessons, 7 times a week. Then we cut it down to 1 or 2 times a week or 1 time a week, and it was always good. But for a time we were real fans. I have to mention my dear friend Sharon Slocum, where we started tango together, and she became a famous tango teacher. I love you, Sharon. I hope you get to see this greeting to you. And I love all my tangueros and tangueras, girlfriends. And Axel, I hope to see you before she escaped Mexico. Axel left to Mexico. So, yeah, tango was a wonderful, fulfilling event in my life, as was skiing and jogging in the ocean and doing my yoga and working out in my front deck while looking at the ocean, spending time with friends and family, riding my bicycle, going to the gym. Very important, you guys. I learned that taking a 20-minute sauna 3 or more times a week will reduce your chances of a heart event by 50%. What I can say is that when I went to Buenos Aires and I gave a hug to my mother, I knew that I would not go back and that she could still survive a few more years after 2 hip operations and some mental issues. I said, Mom, I may not see you again in this life, but I will meet you again in the next world. And she said, right. She never believed me much, but I remember it. We were in Belgrano on this sidewalk on the street when I said goodbye to her. We will meet again. And it was an emotional occasion, and she didn't believe me much. But if she chose to survive, because we're all given the choice, God doesn't push survival on you. If she chose to survive, I will find her again. And she will see that things were not so bad after all. She had a crazy thing with my father, separation, jealousy, blaming us, How could you let your father go out with that German woman, Well, he didn't ask my permission. How could you permit your father to do that to me?
Right.
So anyway, I loved her until the last day. My brother had a very different relationship. My brother refused to talk to my mother for the last 10 or 20 years of his life. And she was even dying alone in Argentina. He wouldn't bend his will and go see her. He wouldn't talk to my mother for 20 years because she screwed up with his son. She intermingled in the bringing up the child, Gonzalo, my brother's children. She mixed up with the children, was too commanding, and my brother couldn't take that, put my mother out of his life, and for 20 years, he never talked to her again. That was tough love, Well, that's my brother, William. I love you, Guillermo. My brother is happily alive in Argentina. And Jordan is going to Barcelona and hope to meet my nephew there. So, thank you, Krista. Come and show yourself.
Everyone.
Thank you, Krista, for this memory. I'm sure many people will enjoy this. And hopefully learn something for your lives and for the future. How to know God and cultivate friendship and create abundance and love each other and do service for each other. So thank you for hanging in there. I hope it was not too long. I sincerely enjoyed doing this reliving of my life. Over and out.